On a quiet night in a small town in Ohio, Maya lay in her bed, listening to the soft rustle of the wind outside her window. The room was dark except for the pale glow of the moonlight streaming through the curtains. As she drifted off to sleep, she had no idea that this night would bring a dream unlike any she had ever experienced. In the dream, she found herself standing at the edge of a high cliff. The sky was painted in deep shades of orange and gold, and the sun was rising slowly on the horizon, lighting everything in a warm, glowing light. It felt peaceful, yet powerful, as if the entire world was waiting for something to happen. Then, a voice whispered softly from somewhere behind her. She couldn't see who it belonged to, but the words were clear and unforgettable. "Your destiny is waiting," the voice said. "But you must be brave enough to follow it." Maya turned around, trying to find the source of the voice, but the dream faded just as suddenly as it had begun. She woke up with a start, her heart pounding in her chest. The details of the dream stayed with her clearly, like a picture in her mind that refused to fade. She sat up in bed, trying to make sense of what she had seen. It felt too real to ignore. The next morning, at breakfast, she decided to tell her grandmother about the dream. Her grandmother, who had always believed that dreams had meaning, listened carefully without interrupting. When Maya finished, her grandmother nodded thoughtfully and smiled. "Sometimes dreams tell us things before we're ready to hear them," she said. "Maybe you have something big ahead of you. Something you're meant to do." Maya didn't know how to respond, but her grandmother's words stayed in her mind all day. At school, she found it hard to focus. Her mind kept drifting back to the sunrise in the dream, the sound of the voice, and the strange feeling that something important was waiting for her. It wasn't fear she felt, it was curiosity, mixed with a sense of purpose she didn't fully understand. She wondered if dreams could really mean something, or if her imagination was just playing tricks on her. Still, this one felt different. It felt like a message, and deep inside, she knew it was meant for her. That night, she sat at her desk and began writing in her journal, something she hadn't done in months. She wrote every detail of the dream, hoping that putting it on paper might help her make sense of it. As she closed the journal and looked out the window at the stars, she whispered to herself, "I don't know what it means yet, but I think I'm supposed to find out." The air felt still, but something had changed. Without knowing it, Maya had taken the first step toward discovering the destiny that waited just beyond the horizon. 2 weeks after the dream, Maya was walking through the school hallway when a colorful flyer on the bulletin board caught her eye. It was for a summer art program in California, a place she had only seen in pictures and movies. Her heart gave a small jolt as she read the details. The program was designed for high school students who were passionate about art and ready to challenge themselves. Maya stood there for a long time, staring at the flyer. She felt something stir deep inside her, a strange mixture of fear and excitement. The dream came rushing back to her, the sunrise, the voice, and the feeling that something was waiting. She pulled the flyer off the board and folded it carefully into her notebook. That evening, she sat in her room and read every word of the flyer again. It sounded perfect for her, but the thought of going so far away from home made her hesitate. She had never been on a plane, never left her small town alone. Still, something inside her kept pushing. Maybe this was the chance the dream was pointing toward. She filled out the application, wrote her essay, and submitted her portfolio of artwork. Then she waited, each day feeling longer than the last. Part of her didn't believe anything would come of it, but another part of her hoped with all her heart. When the acceptance letter arrived, she could hardly believe it. She read it 3 times before she screamed and ran to show her parents. Her mom hugged her tightly, proud but nervous. Her dad was quiet at first, then finally smiled and said, "If this is your path, you have to see where it leads." Her grandmother, hearing the news, simply said, "Told you so," with a wink. In the days that followed, Maya packed carefully, nervous and excited at once. She had never felt so unsure, but also never so certain. The day of her flight, Maya looked out the airplane window as the ground disappeared beneath the clouds. Everything felt surreal. When she landed in California, the bright sunshine, palm trees, and ocean air hit her all at once. It was a different world, louder, faster, full of movement. At the program, She met students from all over the country, each with their own unique style and story. At first, she felt small and unsure, wondering if she really belonged there. But then she met Mr. Carter, one of the instructors. He saw something in her work that she had never noticed before. He encouraged her to explore deeper emotions and to paint what she truly felt, not just what she saw. Slowly, Maya began to open up, both in her art and in herself. Her confidence grew with each passing day. She started to feel like this was exactly where she was meant to be. Though far from home, Maya felt a quiet certainty that she had stepped onto the path the dream had promised. By the end of the summer, Maya's time in California had changed her in ways she never expected. Her days were filled with color, creativity, and connection. She spent hours in the studio, losing herself in brushstrokes and ideas, pushing herself to be honest in every piece she created. Her paintings became more personal, more vivid, filled with emotion she hadn't known how to express before. One canvas in particular stood out among the rest. It showed a glowing sunrise over a high cliff, just like the one from her dream. She hadn't planned to paint it, but one afternoon, without thinking, she picked up her brush and let the image pour out of her memory and onto the canvas. When the program's final showcase arrived, students submitted their best work to be considered for a national exhibition. Maya, hesitant but encouraged by Mr. Carter, submitted her sunrise painting. She didn't expect much. The others were talented, and she still sometimes felt like she was catching up. But when the results were announced, she stood in silent shock as her name was called. Her painting had been chosen to represent the program in the National Youth Art Exhibition. Applause filled the room, and she felt her face grow warm, her hands trembling slightly. It wasn't just about winning. It was the moment she realized she was no longer the unsure girl who had arrived weeks ago. She had found something real inside herself, something brave. When the painting was hung in the gallery, Maya stood in front of it for a long time, staring at the colors she had poured her soul into. The light, the cliff, the rising sun, it all looked exactly like her dream. But now, it didn't feel mysterious. It felt familiar. It felt like a memory. That night, she called her grandmother, her voice full of emotion. She told her everything, about the program, the painting, the exhibition, and how the dream had guided her here. Her grandmother listened patiently, then spoke with a quiet warmth that made Maya's chest ache. "I think you understand now," she said gently. "That dream didn't just show you the future. It showed you the part of yourself you hadn't met yet." Maya didn't speak right away. She looked out the window at the stars above the California sky and smiled softly. She felt a kind of peace she hadn't known before. The voice in her dream hadn't been a stranger after all. It had been the voice inside her, waiting for her to listen. When she returned home at the end of the summer, everything looked the same, but she had changed. The world seemed bigger, but less frightening. She had learned something powerful, that destiny isn't a place or a single moment. It's the choice to move forward, to trust the unknown, and to become the person you were always meant to be. And for Maya, this was only the beginning.